we just need to get a few things right. I read the story. I really don't know what to make of it. It just runs against everything I understand. And the way it works is that vessels. So depend on the arrangement, the fiscal arrangement that's in place between the company, which is the IOC in this case, and NNPC. So they share the production in time, right? So the process of sharing that is called nominations. So basically, you say, oh, I'm going to produce X in 30 days. So this month, I'm going to produce X quantity. Okay, your share, you have one tanker, I have two tankers, or I have, depending on the arrangement, right? That the operator is responsible for getting that nomination, whether for all the parties, because the operator is the one that manages the operations, right? Is responsible for getting the approval. So you get the nominations. There are a lot of processes that go in before the vessel will be allowed to come and pick up product. That's the crude in this case. So it's not as simple as would be made to understand. I really cannot make sense of what was reported in the papers. It just doesn't work that way. Remember, there are multiple parties involved. So the DPR, so for an FPSO is both a producing terminal, operation, and a terminal. So there is an order, a terminal order, and it specifies who should do what. The key to the tanker in the FPSO does not stay with the operator. It is in the regulator's hand, right? Before a vessel can come in, it needs to be cleared to come in to pick up crude. There is a very deliberate process for that, and there are multiple parties involved. It's not just the IOC. So there's DPR, the regulator, now the NUPRC has a rep. Even during loading, all the reps are present. They all take their measurements. When they open loading and when they close loading, they take their measurements of what's in the tank and what has been loaded. And typically every month they reconcile these numbers. So it's not as simple as it's been made to look. I do not quite understand what happened with this tanker. It just runs against everything I understand is the process in the industry. So that's why I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to be very careful here. I'm not a bunker. I don't know. So when you say how is it done, one can then start to imagine whether I've participated in this done or not. But I will say this based on my understanding of the processes, right? It is very, very unlikely, and there are studies that has been done. I think a couple of years back there were to try to see the kind of discrepancies in loaded volume at the terminals. It is very difficult. Okay, the terminals are your export ports, if you will, right? It is extremely, I cannot think, because the only way you can steal from the terminal is that you have compromised everybody. In other words, the regulator, the inspection agents, remember the vessels need to be inspected prior to loading and after loading. So there is independent inspectors, right? HGS or which other, there are so many of them. And these are like global inspection agencies who have a reputation to protect. So the only way you can steal from the terminal is that you've compromised, I'm looking at maybe 5 or 6 different entities. So my sense is that that is tough. That's probably not going to happen. So my understanding of how crude is stolen, is people tap into lines in the swampy areas through, break into your pipeline and load your product onto a barge and move the barge to a location out there where they have a mother vessel and transload it into that, which is outside your territorial jurisdiction. I don't know if that makes sense. So
Yes, sir.
it's going to be very difficult to get into a terminal and load crude and depart with it and say it's stolen. I don't know, because you will have to compromise the entire system. That's the point I'm making. So I don't see that you could do that in a terminal. An FPSO is a terminal by law, right? And it's treated as such. Um, just like driving into Kwaibo terminal or Focados or any of the and loading product, I really don't see how that will work. What I know is that those who steal use badges, okay, load onto badges, sell out to a location where they are, off the purview of the Navy and the other agencies, and transload into a tanker. That is possible. But coming work, I don't see how you get into a terminal and load crude and take it away. It's probably not going to happen. Well, I don't know why he was wanted. I couldn't say specifically what the issues were. I know he had an arrangement to provide support, security support for installations under the Jonathan administration, and subsequently, I really don't know, have details as to what transpired, but I understand he's been brought back in. I think we need to step back a bit and ask ourselves, we somehow, I keep talking about the recession. The Nigerian state as an entity has receded so badly that now we have to, get non-state actors to provide security for state assets. I think that should be worrisome to anybody that really loves this country. So I will speak in general terms. That when state loses the monopoly of violence and the power of coercion, it just answers a state in name. It's no longer that state that you think we've all surrendered our sovereignty to. So that's something that needs to worry everybody. That we're hiring private contractors to provide security for state assets, critical state assets. It should bother everybody. So that's how I will look at it.